Okay, welcome to all our members and our guests. So we are discussing our Q&A level 2, which is about factor X and also living a healthy lifestyle. And this platform is for all our members who wants to engage on, I guess, recognizing the factor X and whether they have any questions regarding that. Obviously, there are a lot of content in Emmanuel's ebook that he wrote about factor X and how it came about. So if you have any questions on that, please bring them to this platform so that we can discuss it. Okay, so let's shoot. Does anybody want to start off with a question for either Emmanuel or for Tanya? Pierre, from your side?
Yes, I have a question for Emmanuel.
Okay.
Right, so Emmanuel, would you say that when we are living our second choice life, that all our decisions are influenced by factor X?
Short answer, Pierre, yes, 100%.
Okay, thank you.
Pierre, would you like Emmanuel to elaborate on that?
If you would care to, yes, thank you.
Pierre, that's a strange forming of the question. No, I would never want to elaborate.
Please elaborate for me on that, Emmanuel.
Okay. Right. So, Pierre, the question that you're asking is, until such time as I am living my second choice life, which we have a video where we explain exactly what that second choice life is about and how it comes about and how we perpetuate that second choice life. During that period of our lives, we are living only to disprove our factor X. And let me just elaborate a little bit on factor X and how that phrase came about. So for some reason, somewhere in my life, I came to a conclusion that I'm unworthy, that I'm not good enough, that I'm a failure, any one of those things. And it just became too much for me to bear. And then, based on a figment of my imagination, I said, there's got to be something wrong with me. That's why I'm experiencing what I'm experiencing. That's why I'm treated the way I'm treated. And let's say all of that in that moment culminated into me believing that I'm not good enough. From that moment onwards, every breath that I take is about disproving my self-belief, which is a figment of my imagination, that I'm not good enough. I want to prove that I'm good enough. So I don't see the facts whatsoever. I only see it through glasses, and I'm exaggerating when I say glasses, but through my mind's eye, all I see is here is another time when I need to prove that I am worthy. or that I'm good enough, or that I'm not a failure. There's nothing else in my life that 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 let's say governs any other notion, and consequent to that, I disappear from my life, and I'm just out on this mission to disprove that figment of my imagination. And just maybe one day I'm going to arrive. And I arrive by having these things, these things, these things, these things. And I feel, okay, surely now I've arrived. But there is a very simple behind the scenes question that you ask yourself. Does it feel as if your life has meaning? Do you yearn for a different life? Does it feel as if something is missing? Now, any one of those are telltale signs that I am not part of my life. Please remember, if I'm in this mode of wanting to disprove something that is not disprovable because it's a figment of my imagination, it doesn't exist that I'm unworthy. There's nothing like that. So while I'm on that journey, I'm not in my life. So anybody who wants to make sure, are they living a first choice life? Are they living their purpose? Does their life have meaning? Just ask yourself, does it feel as if your life is like a hamster wheel? Does it feel as if something is missing? Do you yearn for a different life? Life feel as if it doesn't have meaning? If any one of those tick, 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 then you are surely living a second choice life, and you have no option other than to want to disprove. I think Pierre is frozen. I think he's frozen. Oh, he's unfrozen. Pierre, did I answer your question, or do you have some more that you would like me to just elaborate on it?
No, thank you very much for the long answer. Definitely much more informative than the short one. And yeah,
Great, thanks, Pierre.
Thank you, Pierre.
Okay, Emmanuel, I have just a little piece that I would like to read out of your ebook concerning Factor X, which I will share with our members, and then I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay, that sounds like fun. This is like when we did at school, we did comprehension tests.
Yes. Okay, so let me quickly read that. This conflict is inevitable between our spiritual being and our soul wanting us to do things in a certain way or not do them, and our quest to disprove of Factor X. Therein lies the origins of our inner conflict between us wanting to disprove of Factor X and the wishes of our spiritual being, our soul. Keep in mind that these are components of one and the same person. We aren't separate from our spiritual being or our souls, and we aren't separate from our Factor X. They are all one. So in essence, we are in conflict with ourselves. Okay, and the question I would like to ask you, let me just bring it up in our comments, is, if we are not separate from our Factor X, how do we free ourselves from our Factor X? Or do we need to free ourselves from our Factor X?
Okay, Linde, how do I answer this in a simplistic way But I want to first ask you and anybody watching, have you ever felt that you did something and when you look back at it afterwards, you say, surely I couldn't have been the one doing that? Let's say, Linda, you designed something very, very nicely and you went into that space inside your life and you gave birth to this beautiful thing. And then when you look at it a year or two or five later and you say, did I do that? Have you had such an experience? Okay.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
I think we all have, Linda. So that passage that you read now, I wrote almost 18 years ago. Oh, I cannot believe I wrote it, but I did write it. So I
Mm.
was truly in a different state of being. I took a sabbatical of almost, I think that one was a sabbatical of 11 or 9 months. And that's all I did. I was just writing, letting things formulate in me, and I was writing. Now you ask me to elaborate a little bit on that. So I want to fetch the story of the answer in a slightly different place. So you see, I'm getting ready. If we were in a brick and mortar conference room, I would have been walking up and down with the excitement. Yeah. So let's fetch this answer somewhere that is easy to understand. So, of course, and we spoke about the first choice self and we spoke about the second choice self. Linda and I wonder if we shouldn't add into this playlist the the video we made about self-perpetuating the belief. Okay. So I'm certain in that video, when we were discussing it, it works like this. Our factor X that Pierre also asked me about now. Now I see Pierre left us. He could have fallen off due to network issues. So in that moment, when we come to the conclusion through the figment of our imagination that we are not good enough, that we are unworthy, that we are a failure, in that, could I say it like this? Inside of us, somehow, we took our factor X and we hid it in we took ourselves, the person who we are, and we hid it in our self-conscious. No, in our subconscious. So in our subconsciousness, we made a little place there and we hid our first choice self, the person who we really are without needing to disprove anything. We hid that there. Now I would like to elaborate on your question, but in another way, fetching the story somewhere else. So please imagine now, Emmanuel was walking in his life down this path, down that path, all over the show to figure out, why does he feel as if his life does not have meaning? Why does it feel as if something is missing? Why does he yearn for a different life? And in my discovery of that, Linda, did I gain first-hand lived experience? Yes or no?
Yes.
Linda, I gained massive experience. I observed myself, and I remember back in the day when I used these words for the first time, I was observing and being witness to my life, seeing how I was walking down these different paths. I accumulated a wealth of experience about my life. So now I'm saying to you, is my factor X part and parcel of me if it gave birth to so much that I'm able to share here with you and with any of our viewers and our members? It is part and parcel. It is the creator in me that created stuff that is now giving a solid, sound foundation to say, we don't need to live like this. So, Linde, I would say, if I say that I've got to discredit my factor X, I've got to hate my factor X, I've got to look at it as if it's the plague, I am sorely mistaken. I then miss all of what it brought to my life, the first-hand lived experience. Let me use another analogy. What came to mind is car racing. I'm not a car racer, but let's take car racing. So as I learn to be a car racer and I crash against this and I break the car, I'm a Formula One, so it's very expensive if I break the car. I'm a Formula One driver. And I smash into this, I break the engine, I break the axles, I don't know what I'm talking about, but chaos, chaos, chaos. Eventually, I see, oh, wait, look at what I've learned from that. Could I now say, while I was learning to be a race driver, that all of that is just thrown away, or is that part and parcel of my life? In the same way, factor X is not the enemy. It is part and parcel of my life. It brought me many, many things. And if I were to stand back, I would say one of the biggest things it brought me is the whole thing about evolving inner peace. By seeing it, by seeing how it was born, by befriending it, by stepping away from it and saying, I don't know, I don't need this anymore. It's the same as when I was a smoker. And I was smoking and smoking and smoking. And one day I realized, oh, but this doesn't serve me anymore. And I just stopped with smoking. So all of these things that we did is ingrained in us. So when I speak about our purpose is as unique to us as our fingerprint, all these pitfalls that we fell into, like the race car driver learning to be a race car driver, is written into the footprint, that the fingerprint. That person isn't a different person. It's still the same person with all that lived experience. I remember at some point there was a dentist, a doctor, a dentist who was training to be a dentist, and his thumb was swollen like crazy. And we asked him what happened. He said, "Oh, as we were at varsity injecting people while we were interns, instead of injecting the person, I injected myself." That's lived experience. Next time his finger would be out of the way. So this is not something that we now suddenly have to say, no, man, I want nothing to do with this thing. No, no, no. Did I answer that interesting question of yours?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, so factor X is, like you say, it's not the enemy. It's actually a very integrated part of first-hand experience in life. And all it is recognizing something inside of ourselves that we've created, see it for what it is, and realize that we can uncreate it. Okay.
Yes.
Lovely, lovely, lovely. And I like your car analogy, by the way, your Formula One car analogy. Okay, Emmanuel. Right, I'm going to share my screen again. There's another little juicy bit that I want to read out of your ebook. So here we go. But with factor X just around the corner, it is likely that every intention you have is obliterated by the strength of factor X. You're continuously up against your factor X, society's standards and norms, and your own frame of reference. Okay. So, my question is, could you, and I'm sure you have loads of these, provide us an example of why this is so difficult to do?
Okay. Linda, let's turn that question back to the Formula One racing driver in training. So by the way, of course, it is one of my dreams. It was one of my dreams to be a race car driver. So I'm not sure
Okay.
how far-fetched that example is. So the long and the short of the story is that, and let's use another example. Let us say in any sport, who's got a sport example? Let's take another one other than a racing car driver.
Tennis?
Okay. So let's say I'm a tennis player and let's say I'm learning to serve. Everybody is going to want to give me advice. Oh no, this is why you're not hitting straight. Oh no, this is why you hit the ball out of the court. Oh no, this is why the opponent is able to hit it back so easily. And now by going through all of that practice, I eventually conclude one of two things. Tennis is not for me. Driving a racing car is not for me, and I walk away from it. Or I say, wait, I'm beginning to get this. Wait, I'm beginning to get this. Not only am I able to serve, I'm able to, and I'm not a tennis player, but I'm just reflecting on when I listen to commentary, I'm even to put a topspin on it so that when it hits the ground, the opponent is not able to easily return it. The opponent is going to maybe hit it right out of the court at the back or the side or the etc. Now, until such time as I've spent enough time to perfect, to perfect my serving, or to perfect my return shot, or to perfect my racing capabilities of taking a corner or wanting to overtake when I'm doing 200 kilometers an hour or 250 kilometers an hour, to know how to overtake or to brake just in time for the corner that I'm able to take it and retain my lead. All of those are things that are part and parcel until such time as I overcome that I'm now able to serve. I'm now able to give a return shot. I'm able to brake just in time, not too early because then everybody's going to pass me. And look, none of these things, I'm just giving simplistic ways to talk about it. So until such time, I would not know exactly where to break. I would break too early, I would break too late, I would be too far over to the left, too far over the right, until one day I just see it. Boof. And in my mind's eye, almost see how I'm supposed to drive to get the corner and the braking just right, or with my tennis to do the return shot, or the serve, etc. So it is not difficult if we see it in that context. Does this help a little bit, or did I remove the example too far from wanting to disprove that I'm unworthy as an example?
No, it's a good example. I think let's bring it closer to home. So I will provide an example of something in my own life where I think factor X might be coming in and taking over. So Emmanuel, as you know, I'm a freelancer in brand development and graphic design and video editing and all those things. And I've recently put out my CV and portfolio to get some additional freelance work. And in that process, I noticed a lot of time just before I serve the ball to go out and to put myself out, there are a lot of voices or beliefs of thinking that, are they going to even look at my CV, or they going to look at my portfolio? I don't know if I'm good enough. I don't even know if I should submit it. So yes, I guess perhaps maybe that's where factor X comes in, because I'm basing it on something that's a figment of my imagination, right? So would you say that that's a good example of where factor X, where it's difficult to sort of, because factor X is there, always there, reminding you you're not good enough.
Yeah. Linda, thank you for that example, and also sharing and your vulnerability in sharing these examples. I want to again just step back a little bit just to put it in context. So let us, and I'm answering that question that you've got there. Could you provide an example of why this is so difficult to do? Let's go back to the race car driver. Let's go back to the tennis player. Let's go to Linda, who is now looking for freelance work to pay the bills. But before I go into all of that, Linda, I am going to ask the viewers to, if our message resonates, to contribute to our company, to our organization, Peace Evolution. And if this resonates with you, send us a super thanks. And of course, this is going to assist all of us not to also have day jobs. So we are in a day job situation, and we are doing this as a way of evolving inner peace with humanity, but we're still at a point where we are working our day jobs, and therefore we are able to do this. With your super thanks, you are going to be able to assist us. So even though you've got the membership already, if you have a few more spare dollars, please add it. We'd love you to add it. Okay, Linda, so let's look at the tennis player. First of all, the tennis player is going to be too proud, as an example, to submit to himself that there is something in his stroke and therefore he's not able to hit the ball. The race car driver is also going to struggle to realize to break this late so that he does not lose his momentum, and he might deny that. And if you take what you just gave as an example, you might still be in denial, or you might not be in denial, but wait, what do those three have in common? Very simple. Brutal honesty and courage. And if that person behind the race car steering wheel does not realize, just maybe they're a little bit scared and therefore they want to stand on the brake too early, until such time as they see this is not for them, they better get out of the racing, or this is for them. And that's why I thought I would be a race car driver, is I don't have those fears. I would go and not even stand on the brake and figure out a way, am I able to take that corner without even touching the brake? Nevertheless, I'm getting sidetracked now. But I need that brutal honesty. And once I have that, I would be able to address, oh, wait, I'm just still a little bit scared, therefore I break too early. And the same with the tennis player. No, man, it's the racket. I should buy another racket. No, man, it's the ball. Therefore, I need. No, it's this track. The sunlight is shining in my eyes. It's the court. It's the this. Okay. So the moment we become responsible and we recognize and we have the brutal honesty and the courage, we say, oh, chuff, chuff, chuff. Why do you think so many people in their houses or wherever they stay have so many unfinished products? So projects that they're working on. There's this unfinished project, there's this one, there's this one, there's this one. Because the moment they say they are finished, they would be exposing what they've done. And what are people going to say? My family member, my anybody. Because if I'm able to judge you, Linde, then I get a feather in my cap. Oh, Linde is, let's say, worse than me. Look at how she needs to still grow. But it's not about that. None of that exists. It's all figments of our imagination. And it just takes the courage to see it and the brutal honesty to say, that's really what's going on. Am I rambling or am I giving context and making something fairly tricky in our lives? I mean, think about this. 8 billion people and all of them that came before. Right now, look at how the wars have erupted. And it's all about the figment of our imagination. I need to prove something. And there is nothing like that. It does not exist. So did I elaborate in a strange way to draw these parallels?
Absolutely, Emmanuel. Thank you for elaborating. You weren't rambling. You were giving good context. Yes, no, I mean, for me, personally, in my situation, I do realize this fear, and if I now go and look at the undercurrent of that fear, what am I scared of, really, then it's being exposed to maybe, I don't know how to do certain things, and I might look stupid, or and oh my word, what are people going to think of me type of scenario. So, so honesty and the courage to recognize that, it's definitely necessary in this process, and I guess that's why I wanted to bring that word in, difficult. Because I think actually difficult in what we are sharing here only means that we need to be brutally honest and have the courage to do it. So no, thank you for sharing, Emmanuel.
Linda, I'm reminded many, many years ago, after one of the sabbaticals, it was just a short one, I came to the point where I now needed work again. And I, of course, because I leave things almost too late, and then I suffer in the sense of, oh my goodness me, I've left it so late. How am I now going to survive financially? But somehow I always survive it, pushing the envelope always. And after the 3 month sabbatical, I got a position, a very good position. It was paying very, very well. And after there was a trial period, and then there was a formal engagement after the trial period. And roughly 6 months in, the person was getting more and more aggro with me, the person I reported to, and absolutely aggro to the extent that I could sense how unpleasant it must feel for him to have this person on his team who is not delivering. And I was not delivering. To the expectation of where in a conventional job you are expected to deliver on timelines and so on. But I knew what I was doing was not wasting time. I knew what I was doing. I'm going to use this word very, very loosely. I was in a long game situation. It was not that the solution could be at the flick of my fingers. It was taking a little bit of time for me to get to the point. And I then thought to myself, I would like to relieve the pressure that he kept on putting on me, and also set his mind at ease that I am the person for the job. And so I arranged a meeting with him, and I said to him, I recognize that you feel I'm possibly not the person for this job. Now, please remember, in me uttering those words, the chances were very, very good that he could say, well, in that case, thank you, but no thank you. I'd like you to leave. Just as an example. Nevertheless, I also added by saying to him that I do know I'm the person for the job. And I gave him a little bit of insight as to why it was taking longer than what he thought it would take initially when he appointed me. And just in that, let's call it 45 minutes discussion, the moment we came out of that meeting, he immediately extended my contract for another year. I could have confronted him with oil on fire, but I just very carefully, calmly in my demeanor, gave him the option. If he feels I'm not the right person, rather get the right person, and I'm willing to go, but I feel I am the right person. So there are always these ways that we could get to a point where we could, rather than, let's say, attack or confront, just to take it calmly and say, you know what, if I am, if my contract is cancelled tomorrow, then it's cancelled tomorrow. So it is that exposure and that
Yeah.
vulnerability that keeps us locked in our needing to prove that we are not the figment of our imagination.
Absolutely. Good. Thank you for sharing that, Emmanuel. Right. I just want to bring Tanya onto the stage and hear if she's got any comments on what we just discussed. Or should I ask you a health question, Tanya?
You can ask me a health question.
Okay. Perfect. Right. So my question to you is, why is it important to consult with a fitness trainer or a healthcare provider before starting a new exercise routine, especially if you have pre-existing health conditions?
Well, I'm going to answer it in twofold. Maybe you've got a pre-existing health condition, or you've never exercised before, you haven't exercised in a long time. It would be preferred to check in with a fitness trainer or a healthcare provider to ensure that you don't have any, if you haven't trained before or not for a long time, have any underlying health conditions. And so also with if you've got some underlying conditions, just so that you know that you're going in safely and that you're not just jumping into it. Many people start exercising and they tend to push themselves too far and too hard unnecessarily. For some reason, you think if there's no pain, there's no gain, which is not the truth. You start easy and you gradually build yourself up. So if you check in with a fitness trainer or health care provider, they will monitor you. They will give you advice on what to do and what not to do. If you've got an underlying health condition that you didn't know about, there's certain things that you should stay away from. Depends on the intensity, or if you, so always better to check in and be safe before just going in and going.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like I mean, as you know, I've struggled with some lower back issues, so I can imagine if I just decided tomorrow I wanted to go and do heavyweight training, that won't work.
No, you'll probably go, you'll feel great, you'll do more, and then tomorrow you'll feel discomfort, and that might make you not even try again or go back. So
yes,
it's not always the best way to just go for it. There's safe ways of doing things. Building yourself up.
yeah, and it is good to talk to people like yourself, because you obviously have first-hand experience, number one, in dealing with a lot of clients and years of being in the fitness industry. So it's nice to talk to someone that actually has the experience and a very good understanding of meeting a person at their level and guiding them and what to do with where they're at. Yeah.
Exactly. It's also nice if you stay connected with either a fitness trainer or healthcare provider. You know, they'll check in and they'll say, "Are you doing this? Are you doing that? Or make sure you don't do this." And maybe we're repetitive at times, but it's necessary because we remind you, and that's what we're there for. You know, today you're going to wake up feeling amazing, and then you do too much or you do the wrong things because you're not thinking, and then you're back at square one again, which is not the aim for us fitness trainers. We want to get you stronger, build you up.
Definitely. Yeah. So to our members who get the perk or benefit of doing some live classes, online classes with Tanya, if any of you have done any classes with Tanya, please come back and share your experiences and tell us a little bit about how it is for you on a personal level, getting your fitness levels up. Okay, great. Thanks for sharing, Tanya. Let me bring Emmanuel back. We've come to the end of our session. That was really amazing. A lovely, lovely deep dive into Factor X today. So thank you for that, Emmanuel. Great, that's it. Anything else we want to add?
Not from my side, other than saying thank you for any viewers watching this, and thank you for all our contributions and participation.
Thank you, everybody. Keep well and see you next time.
Thank you. Bye.